Welcome to Talking Giants presented by SeatGeek. I'm your host, Bobby Skinner, here with my co-host, Justin Pennick, and we got some news to get to. And we're going to do a little bit of free agency preview. We're going to do it a little different than we did in years past, where we talk about what we're looking for and not necessarily players we're looking for. Justin, how you doing heading into the last episode before the league new year? Even though we're going to have one on Monday because the Giants will probably do a ton of moves over the weekend. Bam, how you doing?
Yeah, silly Zach Rosenblatt put out a tweet on Thursday morning saying it's going to be quiet on the front of news today, and then it'll pick up over the weekend. Well, silly, and I can say this because we're friends, silly, stupid Zach Rosenblatt was wrong. Of course, all the news hit us late in the evening, and, I think Riley Dixon cut released at 8 p.m., and now it's 8:15 p.m. I'm excited for some moves, Bobby. I'm kind of thinking in my brain about like going through all the scenarios of how are the Giants gonna, create that $40 million, not get to $40 million cap space, but how is Joe Schoen gonna create the $40 million that he wants to in his brain while also trying to upgrade the team in some small positive ways. But I'm excited. How are you?
I'm doing all right. And before we get into this episode was brought to you by one person. His name is MF_Finn19, not his real name, which will be great when he fills out the information for the envelope. Who is this hard person to fill out an envelope person? And I just sent out essentially 40 stickers, 40 envelopes the other day because I was backed up due to the U.S. shortage of stickers.
Wow. M. Finn went to patreon.com/talkinggiants. You know the drill. Patreon people are some of our favorite people in the world, and they get some perks. They get to hang out with us while we record the shows live, which, hey, if we sign some free agents, if we make some cuts, we may be going live more often than not to record some episodes. So hang out with us, be a part of it. Bobby Skinner will send you some stickers, magnets in the mail when things aren't backed up, and you also get access to 2 shirt raffles per month. Patreon.com/talkinggiants. Thanks for our patrons.
Thank you, patrons.
You didn't do something in the intro that kind of it doesn't offend me, but it slightly hurts me.
How about you spill it out?
What is today? What is March 11th?
Happy birthday, Justin. I thought I was gonna save that for the end.
Oh, well, come on.
Happy birthday, Justin. How old are you turning? 24? 25?
Yeah, 24. Yeah.
No, 26.
No, 24.
24 is the right age?
24 is, yes, the correct age.
You're looking at me with like a sarcastic look.
No. I'm never sarcastic.
What are you doing for your birthday? And then we'll get into the news in a second. What are you doing for your birthday?
Marvelous Mrs. Maisel tonight, 2 episodes, season finale. So that's on Friday. And then Saturday.
That just sounds horrible.
That's great. If you watch a show, you know how awesome it is. And then Saturday, there's a bunch of March birthdays. Was 9 months ago August? I think that's how that works. 9 months ago might have been August. No. Yes. I don't know. Fucking know. 9 months ago, a lot of our friends' parents were really getting busy and really getting down with it. So we're all getting together to celebrate all the March birthdays, including Snacks' parents. Snacks is also born in the month of March.
How about that? All right. Well, happy birthday, Justin. Just keep on counting down to 30. That's really what your 20s are about.
Yeah.
You're going to miss this. All right. Let's get into this episode. The Giants, speaking of guy who's getting close to 30, Sterling Shepard. He is staying. The longest tenured New York Giant is staying with the New York Giants. They have restructured his contract. Now, we don't know the details on this contract yet, and I mean, we're recording a few hours after it happened, so I'm not sure, it'd be interesting to see, but essentially, Sterling Shepard was never going to save a lot of money anyways. He had $8 million in dead cap and $4.5 million in savings if they just clean cut him. They were trying to, get him down to the minimum, but he wasn't going to accept that, and so I guess they're somewhere in the middle ground. I think it probably is with those, the not likely to be earned incentives where, like every game he plays, it's more money to his 2023 contract, which isn't even like the greatest like cap savings then either compared to the dead cap. Justin, the Giants fan in me is very happy that Sterling Shepard, the longest tenured New York Giant, a good player, is being brought back. And we could talk about the pros and cons of this because there is both. because Brian Dable wants to be able to run his offense and have it good, and Sterling Shepard can be a huge part of that. Look at in Jason Garrett's offense, Sterling Shepard this past 2 seasons with Daniel Jones was really good. He was really good. He played 3 full games with Daniel Jones this season, had averaged 9 catches and 94 yards in those games. In 2020, in 10 games with Daniel Jones, caught 80% of his passes, 6.1 catches, 59 yards. But obviously the issue with Sterling Shepard is he's coming off an Achilles and he's already been injury prone. This isn't like a random, this is the first time he's been injured type of thing.
Yeah, in a lot of offenses and a lot of bad teams and bad offenses, Sterling Shepard has been a good, solid football player. And I think he's only gotten better as time has gone on when he's on the football field. And the thing that, hurts the Giants the most, especially it hurts Daniel Jones. It didn't really hurt Eli. Eli had Odell. But, it hurts Daniel Jones because that's the security blanket. That's the guy that has that 80%, 70% catch rate when those two are on the field together. So that's where it really does hurt. And the Giants right now, in terms of, how is 2022 going to be a different season than 2021? Well, we need guys that are going to be on the football field. We don't want so many games where guys are going to be missing due to injury. And Sterling Shepard is the one player where, Bobby, also a consolation about this too is that Sterling Shepard is going to lead off our PPP series as the longest tenure Giant. But something that we did say during his 2021 PPP, and we're usually pretty optimistic about injuries because you can't predict injuries. Something that we did say is you automatically have to pencil Sterling Shepard to miss at least 5-6 games, and he missed more than that this past year. So that is the downside of it. In a year where the Giants probably aren't going to have a ton of depth, because they're going to be looking for starter quality players this year, then next year they can hopefully look for depth. In a year where they're going to be looking for depth, Sterling Shepard may not be that because he isn't consistently healthy.
Yeah, and that's why it's like, Sterling Shepard's back. It feels good. It definitely feels good, especially with, this is essentially the last year for Daniel Jones. It's like either be really, really good or you're gone. So I get the idea of wanting to have as many pieces around him as possible for that. But also it's like, I don't know how many games Sterling Shepard's going to play this year.
Yeah, and I don't even know if the Giants are even thinking about that right now. I think what they are thinking about is getting their cap situation in a healthy spot and getting, their, Joe Schoen has said said quite a few times he wants to free up $40 million. And if you can do that by keeping a guy on the team that's good for the locker room, a good football player, while also saving more than just flat out cutting him. He's a guy on the 53-man roster that you can count on when he's on the field. So that's the positive side to it, that it really puts the Giants in a better, more healthier cap situation than if they just flat out cut him.
It felt like a tough decision before Shep got hurt, and then when Shep got hurt, it kind of seemed like an easy decision. But again, it would have been saving $4.5 million cap space, and you do have to remember too that once you cut someone, there has to be a replacement. And that's going to be essentially $1 million at minimum. So when you think about it, it's saving like 3.5, and I guess whatever number they agreed on, they valued Sterling Shepard for that. And listen, it's the injuries are the only thing that scared me about this. Coming off the Achilles, I don't know what to expect from Sterling Shepard. Lorenzo, I do think he'll be ready for week 1. I'm pretty confident. Lorenzo Carter, he was in a full going spring camps, and those spring camps they try and take it play extremely, extremely cautious with guys in those situations. When he was a full go in those. Now, granted, Lorenzo Carter didn't look great to start the season, but I don't know what to expect from Shepard injury wise coming back, or if he's going to be able to stay healthy for enough games for him to matter. Yeah, but at the end, he is the longest tenured Giant. I think there is something to that. And Brian Dable and Joe Schoen wanted to keep Sterling Shepard.
So let's put the GM brain on for a second. If you want to answer this, what you would do, and then what you think the Giants are going to do, you can answer both if you want. Go either route. Restructuring Sterling Shepard and Sterling Shepard being on the team for 2022. Do they view him as okay, he is wide receiver number 3, and we're going to kind of count on him, and we're viewing him in that way. Therefore, a guy like Darius Slayton can be cut? Or do you view Sterling Shepard being on the team as, hey, this guy is just here simply because it makes sense to restructure him cap-wise, but we still have to address depth wide receiver-wise around him, and what does that mean for Darius Slayton?
I think it's the latter, where they still view they need to address depth, even if they're to keep Slayton. Like, I do think they come out of this draft with a wide receiver, maybe a fourth round wide receiver isn't really addressing depth, but it is going out there. I don't think they're gonna do anything in free agency. I don't know what to expect from Darius Slayton, and maybe people will know the answer by the time this podcast comes out. But like, what guy out there are you going to get for that Darius Slayton money? You know?
Yeah.
So like right now, I don't know what to expect. But again,
what would you do?
It's fun to do cut, and here's the money. But then it's like, okay, remember, you got to replace all these guys. You have to have 53 guys on the roster. You know, so it's like cutting Darius Slayton at $2.5 million. I don't know if that makes sense at the end of the day. Like, they have to replace him with someone who makes $1 million.
It makes more sense now that Shepard's here.
Yeah, it makes a little more sense.
But you have to consider that Sterling Shepard is going to miss football games.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And I hate to keep on repeating that point, but it's and you know what? Kenny Galladay has missed games. Kadarius Toney definitely missed games. You know, like, we have 3 wide receivers who miss significant time last season. Slayton's been the one who's been essentially the healthiest the last 2 years. He missed 2 or 3 games this season.
Yeah.
And then was essentially healthy his entire second year and his rookie season, minus those first 2 games, where they didn't even. I don't even know how much they had him involved in the offense until he kind of came up and showed out. But
what would you do? Would you cut Darius Slayton?
I want to say no, but then you keep on saying no to Nick Gates or Caden Smith or, all these guys, and that adds up.
Yeah. I would.
I would not.
Okay.
I know he's been extremely disappointing. I get it. But we've seen him put up production, and he's at a very low number. And again, I think every wide receiver will benefit from being in a Brian Dable system.
Yeah, it's very fair.
Like, every single one will have huge benefits from that. And you're losing Ingram most likely. We're losing Evan Ingram. So, all right, you got anything else on Shep wide receiver room?
No, let's move on to the next piece of news.
All right, well, let's do quickly. They cut Riley Dixon, saved $2.8 million. Easy decision. I'll always remember him for overthrowing Nick Gates and not really being a great punter. Even though after 2019, people felt really good about Riley Dixon, and then the last 2 years hasn't been great. Hasn't been like god awful, but hasn't been worth $2.8 million for Riley Dixon. Any last words for Riley Dixon?
You care a lot less about a punter being good or bad if your offense scores points. So.
The Giants signed their first non-Bills free agent, Matt Gono. Gono, 25 years old. This is an interesting signing. It seems like this is a guy to come in and battle for the swing tackle spot. We talked about Matt Parrott on the O-line review the other day. He's coming off of the torn ACL. Nate Solder's gone. And again, they're limited with cap space, so this is a signing that makes sense. I went and did a film breakdown on him if you want to go check it out. He's an athletic, strong player. He's got some technique issues to fix, but it's like, okay, these are workable things. And again, he's probably brought in to be the swing tackle because I don't know what we can bet on Matt Parrott. Here's the thing. The Falcons liked him, Like, they put a second-round tender on him. They paid him $3.3 million this past season, and then he got they never disclosed what his injury was, but because he never came off the PUP list. But he showed up to camp in a neck brace and didn't play at all in 2021 after a June surgery. So we don't know the details of that. That obviously doesn't sound good, but I'm sure he had to clear some physicals to when he worked out with the Giants. I think this guy right now has the fast check to be the Giants swing tackle.
We got no details on this yet, right?
No.
And this happened like 2 days ago. So
I mean, it's the minimum.
Sure. Yeah. Oh my God, my dog's barking in the background. Yeah, definitely more of a punch than Matt Parrott, which that's something that I like to see. He's definitely
Yeah,
a little bit.
there's more like Matt Parrott's more athletic. Like he's more athletic than a lot of guys, but like Matt Gono does like offensive line things, where
Yeah.
Matt Parrott sometimes doesn't.
Packs a little bit more of a punch than Matt Parrott, and I think he's a pretty athletic guy. So
Yeah, and if they want to run some wide zone like running stuff, if they bring him in, like you can do that. A lot of backup tackles you can't do that. Like you couldn't run wide zone with Nate Solder. He was god awful. He couldn't move. Matt Gono, he can move around and do that.
did you look at the game where he started at guard?
I watched the first like 10 reps.
Not
he had
good.
a really bad pass rep.
Okay.
But I brought him in. I think he's brought in to be a tackle. So those are the games I broke down of him.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I would agree with that.
Do you think there's any chance but they could still bring in like a tackle?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like he could also be a camp cut,
Yeah, because there is no guarantee in the NFL draft, and this is something that Giants fans are thinking about every day. There is no guarantee that you are going to walk out of this draft with your starting tackle, and even if you draft a tackle outside of round one, I mean, do you really want to trust putting that guy in that spot day one? I think a big fear of Giants fans is that Aquanu and Neal are all going to be gone by the time that we get to 5, and you don't really feel comfortable taking Charles Cross at 5 or 7. So they should definitely look into possibly adding another swing like Mike Remmers like tackle for 1 or 2 years.
Yeah, even it's someone that it doesn't have no guaranteed money. Like someone you can cut in camp if he doesn't beat out Matt Gono or vice versa. But I do think that for the draft they should have a plan to get a right tackle, not we'll see how the board falls. Like no, there should be a plan to get a right tackle. Like if you need to trade up, trade up.
You would be willing to do that
if you're trading up from 36 to 31.
Oh, all right. I thought you were
or something.
I thought you were talking about like.
No, not from 5 or 7. I wouldn't
Okay.
want to do that. Too many good players to do that, I think. We're not looking for a quarterback. So yeah, those are the type of things. If it's Falale out of Minnesota that is there at 31 and they know or at 30 and they know the Bengals are going to take him at 31. Trading up there and getting him.
Yeah.
So, but I do think they should have a plan for that right tackle spot. But Matt Gono, welcome to the New York Giants.
Yeah. Excited to have you.
All right, Justin, why don't you read an ad?
Yeah, so I'll read an ad, and then I kind of want to talk about the Giants and some other moves that they possibly can make, what they could look like cap-wise, and then we'll go from there. Splish, splash, I was taking a bath, and I noticed I have beautiful balls. Our friends at Manscaped, the global leaders in below-the-waist hygiene, are turning men's shower dreams into their favorite routine with the all-new Ultra Premium Collection. It's funny, it's not funny. I usually do my manscaping inside the shower, similar to Bobby Skinner, Lawnmower 4.0, things of that nature. But now Manscaped is adding to their package and adding to their performance package with things that you can use in the shower, and I feel like that's great. I feel like they picked up on that. This all-in-one hygiene skin and hair bundle is designed to upgrade the everyday man's shower routine from head to toe. Your skin, hair, and balls, they deserve it. Save big by going to manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping with the code GIANTS. I want you to use the Lawnmower 4.0. I want you to use the 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner. I want you to lather on the cologne-infused Ultra Premium Body Wash with aloe vera and sea salt to keep your skin feeling clean and moisturized all day. I'm asking some of my relatives, probably my mother or father, hey, Manscaped products, hook me up. They're coming up with new stuff. Every time we have an ad read, they're coming up with new stuff. So hook me up. Use promo code GIANTS. Get 20% off plus free shipping. It's probably the best deal that we have across all of our different sponsors. So get 20% off plus free shipping with the code GIANTS at manscaped.com. 20% off plus free shipping with the code GIANTS at manscaped.com. It's time to get wet, nice, and clean with your new Manscaped shower routine.
Our Bills people are starting to get Evan Ingram rumors.
Yeah, Evan Ingram was supposed to be a Buffalo Bill for years now, so.
With, former Ole Miss tight end Dawson Knox. How about that?
Yeah, it's just frustrating where it's like the Bills probably have been interested in Evan Ingram for years, but the Giants have been just too much of a, pussies to actually trade him. Excuse the word, but
I think we might get a comp pick back. I don't think we'll get like a 3rd-round comp pick, maybe like a 5th-round comp out of Evan Ingram because I don't know
a 2-year, $18 million deal. That's like what I can see happening. And would we get a comp pick for that?
Yes. Depending on what we do in free agency, which we'll talk about in a second. The Giants aren't bringing back Elijah Penny or Cullen Gillespie. Cullen Gillespie doesn't really hurt at all because they're looking for more of that H-back, which is essentially that tight end fullback hybrid. Elijah Penny, man, I'm not shedding any tears for Elijah Penny being gone, but he got better and better every year, man. It was a pretty damn good fullback. You watch his reps and do you guys remember Elijah Penny blowing any blocks? I do remember him paving some ways in the run game when you did hand him the ball. Like you couldn't, like most fullbacks, you can't hand the ball to. You could hand the ball to him and he could get yards. He averaged over 4 yards a pop. He's good in short yardage areas. So, King Penny, I'm gonna miss King Penny, even though like his arrival really pissed me off because I didn't want Shane Smith to be cut because he was the first Giants player to be nice to me.
I'm always going to remember Elijah Penny for saying to everybody on social media, I don't like when people call me King or, calling another grown man King is weird. And then everybody just started calling him King Penny. His
goodbye, I kind of feel good. It's like a little pat on the back to myself sometimes. I'm like, he spent 4 years with the Giants. Like, how we were talking about, like, we're like, who's going to be the longest tenured Giant? If Sterling Shepard was cut, it was going to be Elijah Penny.
Really?
Because, they probably would move on from, Carter. BJ Hill's gone. Will Hernandez probably gone. Or if they traded Saquon. But if they had moved on, it would have been Elijah Penny. Because, he's the only, like, free agent from that year to be around is Elijah Penny. But he was a pretty solid fullback, man. And I actually do believe in keeping a fullback on your roster. If you want to do the H-back, that's fine. But I am a big believer of keeping a true fullback on your roster because it is a benefit. It does add to the run game, especially
in the goal line.
Yeah, especially when you're trying to run wide zone and you're trying to get out on the perimeter, having someone who could go out there and clear away for you. It does it and messes up defensive run fits. It really does. Like it's a pain in the ass trying to fit up your run scheme when they have a fullback and a fullback who couldn't be used. And a fullback you have to game plan for. That's why I've always been a bet like the 49ers paying Kyle Juszczyk. I've always believed in that. That's why I wanted the Giants to pick up Ben Mason this past offseason. I do think there's a role in that, but you can get an H-back and do it that way. And you have your own mismatches that way where you can use someone as a receiving threat out of the backfield as well. Which I wonder if Caden Smith could play that role. He's kind of halfway played it the past 2 years, but I don't know how much you want to line him up and put him up into the hole. You use him as a wham blocker.
Is Caden Smith even on the team? And maybe this can transition.
I don't know. I'm so sick of talking about if guys are fucking here or not. I really am. I'm tired of it. Stop asking me which guys are going to be here. Like, I hate doing this every time. I just want to see who's here on Monday and who's not.
All right. Well, here's a tentative plan where a couple hours ago before Sterling Shepard was restructured, I was texting you and Snacks, and I was like, Joe Shane is not going to free up $40 million without trading Saquon. It's just not going to happen. I was doing all the cap simulators and stuff like that, and probably those simulators aren't perfect because there's a lot of things that NFL teams can do that's not counted in those simulators and stuff like that. And I'm not even huge into knowing how the cap fully works, but I was thinking there's just no way. There's just no way. And then Shep was restructured, and then I took a little bit more of a breath, and some reasonable people on Twitter replied, and so this is what we have. And also you have to consider that Devontae Booker and Kyle Rudolph being cut has already saved $7 million. So again, Joe Shane saying that he wants to free up $40 million, not saying that he wants $40 million in cap space, but I think they started off with -12. They were 12 over. So what's 40 minus 12? 28.
Yep.
So I have right now in this stupid little simulator that I did, I have about $35 million. So I probably have a few moves on here that that don't need to be on here. One of them was releasing Riley Dixon. That already happened. Another is releasing Nick Gates, which I do unfortunately feel like it's going to happen. But maybe not, because it seems like Joe Schoen and the Giants, they're open to keeping guys around. We even, we heard rumors about Sterling Shepard being kept. Turns out that was true. I think we even heard something about Blake Martinez. I think that's actually coming next. Trading James Bradbury. I do think that is coming. That would free up $12 million. Now, the interesting conversation is restructuring Kenny Golladay or Leonard Williams. I think Leonard Williams would be the more likely one to be restructured, just simply how his contract is set up. And I think Leonard Williams is more of a safer option to restructure / extend.
Yeah, he never missed a game.
Because he hasn't missed a game, even when he needed off-season, even when he needed technically surgery that was going to end his season, he still played through that last year. Even though Joe Schoen has been iffy about he would rather not do it, I think they're going to have to do it for Leonard Williams, because that would save you, I think, according to the simulator, about $9 million, $8.9 million. Releasing O'Shane is $1 million. Releasing Darius Slayton is $2.5, and then releasing a few guys like Wes Martin, Trent Harris, that's all like $985,000, and then releasing Blake Martinez is $8 million. And then that would get you, I have the Giants right now sitting at $34 million in cap space, saving about $32 million, making all those moves, including Sterling Shepard being released, but that's going to create even more room because the Giants restructuring him. It's going to save more than $4.5 million. So they can do it. Moral of the story: they can do it all. They can free up the $40 million without trading Saquon Barkley, even though it does make sense, but they're not going to.
Okay. All right, so there's a way, and I think we'll see a really busy weekend with the New York Giants.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some. We're not, in past years we'd put together like, hey, this is my free agency plan. This guy for this month, this guy for this much. Frankly, the coaching search put us so far behind the draft stuff that I have decided, it's like we're not going to break down free agency guys before they happen. Once they do happen, we'll crank out breakdowns. We'll give you like informed opinions, not just looking at PFF stats or whatever, like giving you like watching film and talking about these guys. But I think let's talk about types for some of the positions that the Giants might attack in free agency. And just I want to start with backup QB because this has kind of been the hot topic in Giants land the past week or so. After the emotion of the season, I was like, oh, man, maybe we should spend a little more on backup QB. I'm back into my old stance, though. I don't feel like spending money on backup QB. Now, you don't have to spend the bare minimum, $980,000. But, like, this team, like you just mentioned, it has cap issues. And they're going to have to make decisions on, like moving on from, decent players that are cheap. Like cheap, decent players they might have to move off from because of the cap situation. I do not want the Giants spending money on their backup QB. I really don't. And you know what else I definitely don't want it to be? For Mitchell Trubisky. Like, can I say I'm not on this Mitchell Trubisky train? Like, what's the point of spending, like, I don't think it's going to be $10 million a year, but spending a good amount of money on Mitchell Trubisky just because he coached or played under Brian Daboll?
We talked about this, when Joe Judge was being fired, and hey, we hope that Joe Judge maybe takes a year off because taking a year off is good for the image. Mitchell Trubisky is going to win the award for the most dramatic image change because they took a year off. Basically, we didn't see Mitchell Trubisky for a year, not starting, but he was a part of a good football team, and now he's everybody's darling.
And it's frustrating because he's not good at all, Hold on 1 second. Looking at a stat. Okay. So, like, maybe he's better, but, like, it'd be one thing if Mr. Trubisky was, like, this high, like, just uber talented player who just couldn't put it together. But he's not. Like, he's got, like, he's got good, like, arm talent. He's got decent arm talent, but, like, he's not, like, doesn't have great, like, amazing get crazy over. Like, that to me is frustrating. And I think there's better players. Better backup options than him. Marcus Mariota. If they were going to spend money on a backup QB, Marcus Mariota would be my guy. Tyrod Taylor would be my guy over Mitchell Trubisky. Like, Mitchell Trubisky is supposed to be this changed man of the Brian Daboll offense. Well, he got to throw 8 passes under Brian Daboll, and one of them was a god-awful interception. Not every interception is equal. It was a god-awful interception by Mitchell Trubisky. So I just don't believe that he's some changed player. And if the argument is, well, you can say the same stuff about Daniel Jones. If you believe in Mitchell Trubisky to come in and compete with Daniel Jones, then just move on from Daniel Jones and bring in Mitchell Trubisky to be the starter. If that's your train of thought from the Brian Daboll, just cut the cord on Daniel Jones, get whatever you possibly can. Could get a day 3 pick for him and just make Mitchell Trubisky your starter. But I don't think that would be worth it. I do think Daniel Jones is a better quarterback than him when you look at all situations where Mitchell Trubisky had a great defense behind him and a number 1 wide receiver his entire time with Allen Robinson. Not a great offensive line, but Daniel Jones had a bad offensive line. So I'm not on Mitchell Trubisky, and I'm not on paying a backup QB. This team is cap-stricken. What's the point? We're not going to be competing for a Super Bowl. If you're looking at it with the most bright eyes of all time, they can get a wild card spot. It wouldn't be the craziest turnaround for the Giants to get a wild card spot in NFL history. But bank on your QB being healthy for that to happen. And again, I think backup QBs are products of their environment. And let's point at Mike Glennon. He's like, well, we can't have another Mike Glennon. Well, why not? Mike Glennon, I can't believe I'm doing this Mike Glennon rant again. Mike Glennon had career worst by far, in every single statistical category. Every single one. And they weren't close to his other career lows. By far. And the year before, he played much better than Colt McCoy ever did, with the Jacksonville Jaguars, who were the worst team in the NFL. The worst team in the NFL. Almost didn't win a damn game. We're really close to not winning a damn game. So, I got my names. They're Chad Henne, Trevor Siemian, Mike White, and Kyle Allen. Those are my names for the Giants' backup QB.
Yeah, I'm with you with backups. I probably care about it less than you do, and that's not necessarily a reflection of you caring a lot about it. It's just a reflection of I just really do not care at all. I am interested in finding an answer for the Giants at quarterback. That could even include this year if Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll want to. However, I did watch Malik Willis this week officially, and I wrote out my notes on him, and I'm not thrilled. I was really kind of disappointed. Anyway, the Giants need to be in the market for finding an answer at QB, and you're totally right. If they think that Mitchell Trubisky can be an answer, which God bless you if you do, then yeah, get Jones out of here and get something for him. I 100% agree with that. And here's my thought process of, even if you're a good team, you should be investing in backup quarterback. Well, here's my thought process with that. If your quarterback's out for the season, the Jeff Hostetler stories and Nick Foles stories are rare, where those backups can come in and then they can guide you to a Super Bowl and they can guide you to a playoff run. That's rare.
Everyone always brings up the outlier with these arguments, which always pisses me off.
Those stories are very rare. Most likely, if your quarterback season is done, your season's done. Sorry. But also, if your quarterback's out for 4 weeks, if you have a good scheme, if you have a good offensive line, if you have a good team, then the team should be able to stay afloat.
Look at Chad Henne.
Maybe they don't go 4-0 like Colt McCoy this year. Look at Colt McCoy on the Cardinals this year versus Colt McCoy on the Giants. Yeah, Colt McCoy won the biggest the biggest Giants win since 2016 against the Seahawks, but he also attempted 12 passes?
He had one pass. I think he completed 2 passes on their 2 scoring drives.
Yeah, so it was a dominant running game for about 2 drives and an elite defensive performance, by Patrick Graham and that play calling. So that was Colt McCoy's contributions to the Giants. The rest of those games we lost.
He played much better versus the Browns when they scored 6 points.
Yeah, but my overall point, backup quarterback, if your quarterback's out for the season, your season's likely over. If your quarterback's out for 4 weeks, any quarterback that is capable of throwing a football in the NFL should be able to keep you afloat for 4 weeks. So therefore, I don't care about backup quarterback. I don't care. I care about I especially don't care about it when the Giants don't even have a real solution at QB1.
Yeah, and the idea that he's going to come in there and provide motivation for Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones is an unbelievably self-motivated player.
Jones is in the building every single day. You really now you you listen to Daniel Jones and you hear the Eli comps and everything like that, and you think Mitchell Trubisky coming in is going to light a fire under Daniel Jones?
Well, here's the most exterior, the non-Daniel Jones just looking within from himself and being a self-motivated person motivation. You want to know what it is? It's not Mitchell Trubisky's bum ass. It's millions of dollars and your career in the NFL being on the line. That's the motivator. That's the motivator for Daniel Jones, not Mitchell Trubisky being in there.
Yeah.
Like, again, that argument means absolutely nothing to me. Like, stop using this, like, high school football arguments, or college football arguments. Like, they millions of dollars on the line, and Daniel Jones is already a self-motivated player. He just needs to be better. Again, and here's the thing, like, well, under Dable's system, Trubisky really grew and changed as a quarterback. Well, why not give Daniel Jones that? Well, yeah, how?
How? How do you know that? He had 8 pass attempts.
Yeah, and Mr. Trubisky gave credit to Shea Tierney and Davis Webb, named those 2 guys. Well, guess what? Why not give that opportunity to Daniel Jones or some other random, young backup QB that's out there? Yeah, I know there's not a lot of guys, but like, why not give that opportunity to Marcus Mariota, who's a lot more talented than Mitchell Trubisky?
Yeah, so backup quarterback is I kind of have like some names on my free agency blueprint, not a plan. And backup quarterback is one of the positions that I have listed that I would like the Giants to sign in free agency, because I definitely don't want them drafting a quarterback, and I don't want them signing their backup quarterback as an undrafted free agent. I don't think that's smart.
That's dumb. My names were Chad Henne, connection with Mike Kafka, obviously, Trevor Siemian, Mike White, the Mike White, and then Kyle Allen, who has been with Washington and Carolina the last few years and started some games, and Jabril Peppers broke his ankle. I
will take any of them, and I really don't care.
I would probably take Henne over all those guys, just because there is some connection with Kafka there.
Yeah.
And he did do all right when Patrick Mahomes just went down, not this year, but the year before.
Mike White would be fun.
Yeah, it would just be funny. Like, hey, Jets, the only fun thing you've had in the last 2 years, we got him. So how about that, Mike White? The other positions, guard, right?
Yeah, like, I have interior O-line, so that could be center or guard.
I can see the Giants being like, we'll spend $4 to $8 million in this area. Obviously, John Feliciano, who was just cut by the Bills, would make sense because the connection there. But, he was with Bobby Johnson with the Raiders, not just the Bills. And he wouldn't count against the comp pick because he was cut and not just hit free agency naturally. Roger Saffold, who was cut by the Titans. Connor Williams from the Cowboys. James Daniels from the Bears. I think those guys. Like, I would love Laken Tomlinson, but I think he's going to be out of the Giants' price range. Because I think he might get, like, he'll probably be the highest paid guard. So I think it's that area of guys: Roger Saffold, John Feliciano, Connor Williams, and James Daniels.
Yeah, I also have Quentin Spain from the Bengals, and O'Day Abushi from the Los Angeles Chargers as 2 names that I wrote down. And I think Spain and Abushi could possibly be 2-year deals. I don't know. The market always kind of, it always can take a left turn with any team that's willing to overpay. I can say the Giants, like, this could be a situation where the Giants give a 3-year deal out, but then, 2 years are fully guaranteed, and then you can cut ties the 3rd year. I could see that being the one position where the interior O-line, whether that is center or guard, preferably guard, that's where the Giants can go, and that is the place where that's our big money, quote unquote, target this offseason.
Could you see them going after a guy like Laken Tomlinson and backloading the deal?
Then again, I feel like we're getting in, we're getting in Dave Gettleman territory, saying that you don't want to do something, but then a second after you're saying you don't want to do something, you're doing it.
Yeah, but how
I want a GM that is going to be about it. If you're going to say you don't want to do something, then don't do it. Don't backload deals. I don't think there's any point for the Giants to do that right now. I know they're in a healthy cap situation in 2022 and beyond, but just don't. Build through the draft.
It'd be one thing. It's one thing to do it with Laken Tomlinson, and that's your move of free agency. It's another thing to do it with Leonard Williams, Kenny Golladay, Adoree Jackson, And I mean, backloading a ton of deals. Like, there's a
Yeah.
difference between that and doing one deal and being like, hey, we're taking the offensive line rebuild serious, and this is one way that we're gonna do it. So I wouldn't be bothered by that. And again, pressers, they're great and all, but I also like my guys to keep things close to the chest and not always, spit out exactly what they're thinking.
Yeah. We tried to give Dave Gettleman that, that opportunity to be like, hey, maybe he's saying things and he's talking like an idiot and he's not actually an idiot. Well, Dave Gettleman's actually an idiot.
But Gettleman contradicts himself in press conferences and what he did all the time.
That's because he's an idiot, frankly. I think he's actually an idiot.
I mean, he was asked, I think he's not an actual moron. He wasn't a good GM, but he's not an actual moron. He talked about, it was like, oh, he said, the offensive line is old. Kevin Zeitler. And Kevin Zeitler was gone the next day. They knew what they were going to do in free agency 2 weeks before, a week, 8 days before free agency started last year. They didn't just come up with a plan. They're like, oh, you know what? Let's start doing backloaded deals.
Yeah, just didn't work. So don't do it again.
Yeah, but I'm saying as far as the media relations, there's always going to be contradictions on what people say, and especially in opening press conferences and what they actually do. Because again, it sounds good to not move anything back or restructure guys. I don't want to restructure guys. Well, guess what? Sterling Shepard just got restructured.
All right. So what other position?
How about your position in the college basketball tournament? Ready to feel the excitement for conference championships like never before? Turn your team's victory into your own big win with DraftKings Sportsbook. New customers can bet $5 on any team to win and get $200 in free bets if they do. It's that simple. Simple Man Radio. If they win, you win. Illinois listeners, yeah, we're talking to you guys, Illinois listeners. So many of you guys. We have some big news. Mobile registration is back. And right now, you can sign up for DraftKings Sportsbook simply by downloading the app right to your damn ass phone. Right to your freaking phone, you can download it. If Sportsbook isn't available in your state yet, you can still join the action with DraftKings Pools. How about that? I love pools. Everyone can play free all March long for a shot at over $250,000 in prizes. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code JOHNBOY. Bet $5 on any college hoops team to win and get $200 in free bets if they do. If they win, you win with promo code JOHNBOY this week at DraftKings Sportsbook. 21 plus. Restrictions apply. See show notes for details. You should have bet the under on James Harden versus the Nets because he is a loser. Like an absolute loser. Should be ashamed of himself. An embarrassing player. I mean, we're at halftime right now and he's a minus 22. He has the worst plus minus of anybody who has stepped on the court, and the guys who didn't step on the court because their plus minus is 0 right now.
Analytics.
What a freaking loser! You know who has the second worst plus minus? Joel Embiid's bitch ass.
Ooh.
All right, let's go Nets. I really hate James Harden has brought back some real NBA hate for me. All right, what are we doing next? You want to talk about edge guys?
Yeah, let's talk about some edge guys.
So this is where, me and you, I think, both see like the 1 year edge deal type of players. Jerry Hughes was the guy you mentioned in a mailbag last month. Do you think he might be a little outpriced, or do you think he's under the radar enough to be a Giant signing?
I think he's under the radar enough. 1 year deal, and also if the Giants have to overpay for a 1 year deal, I'm kind of okay with that because it's a 1 year deal. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, if they're under the cap, they're under the cap.
Yeah, exactly. So that's my approach on Jerry Hughes. And Jerry Hughes is one of those players where a lot of pressures. The sacks have kind of gone down, which I think that's why, he won't be too expensive. He's also on the plus side of 30. I think he's 33, going 34. And I think if the Giants maybe feel like they're going to be in a situation where you're not going to be able to acknowledge every single position in the draft, they do have a lot of draft picks, but if you want to fix the offensive line, and that's going to be your major goal, but you also want to have some athletes for Wink Martindale's system that can do a good job and fulfill a certain role, Jerry Hughes can be a veteran that can come in and do pretty well right away, pressures-wise, especially getting those pressures.
Yeah, he seems like the best of the bunch of realistic options for the New York Giants.
Because after that, you know, and we're talking about guys that are getting 1-year deals here, not guys that are getting maybe 2-3-year deals, because those guys are out there free agency wise. But after the Jerry Hugheses of the world, there's a big drop off, and then you get to the Lorenzo Carters of the world, who they deserve 1-year deals, but they're not very good.
There's a few names. Justin Houston, older guy.
Yeah.
But, we spent the last year with Baltimore, with Wake Martindale. Obviously, he can put up production. F.A. Obata, who was with the Bills this past year. I forgot to write down his stats, but he had I think he had 3.5 sacks for the Bills this past season. Yeah, 3.5 sacks. Let's see. I mean, he's a 6'6", 265. Obviously Joe Shane connection with the Bills. He played
10 QB hits.
He played 35% of the snaps, and he had eight QB hits and 3.5 sacks. But he had 15 QB hits in 2020 with the Panthers. Oh, so he wasn't drafted by the Bills. He was signed by the Bills or traded. He had 15 QB hits and 5.5 sacks in 2020 with the Panthers on 39% of the snaps. So I think that might be a low-key name that no one has mentioned that could be a good fit for Wink Martindale and Joe Shane.
Yeah. Yeah, sneaky under the radar guys that get pressures, QB hits, and I don't think Wink is going to prioritize guys that get sacks, because those are things that, number one, he said before, and then number two, I think he's actually, he's shown that in practice.
Kamoko Toure, who was drafted by the Colts, and he's kind of dealt with some injury stuff, but he's always kind of had like a good talent base out of, he's a Rutgers guy. In fact, he was interviewed on Smallman Radio 4 years ago, Kamoko Toure. So I think those are the names. Do you think there's any chance Lorenzo Carter gets brought back? I don't think so.
Sure, there's always a chance, but no. If they didn't do it by now, then I don't think so. Wait out to see what his market's like. And again, it could be, do they want to go after Jerry Hughes? Ah, crap, we didn't get Jerry Hughes. All right, let's just bring back Lorenzo Carter for a 1-year deal and do that. Because again, I think you almost have to play this free agency in a way where you have to tiptoe around, well, we don't exactly know what we're going to get in the NFL draft, but we don't want to wind up being in a spot like we were with the Giants 2021 offensive line, where you don't take any offensive linemen and then your offensive line's bad. So you kind of have to play this free agency carefully, because you don't know what positions you're going to get in the draft. You don't know what players you're going to get.
Yeah, that's the worst thing I hate about going into the draft with, like, this is a need, and it's like, well, you can't bench on, like, oh, the tight end we draft is gonna fill that need, the guard we draft is gonna fill that need, the wide receiver draft is gonna fill that depth need. It's like you can't just bank on all these guys working out, especially mid-round picks. But I do think we'll have some more picks to work with, which ain't Bradbury.
Ooh, yeah, that'd be fun.
He'd be a perfect fit for the Chargers.
Yeah, they just made a move.
Khalil Mack, how about that? I didn't realize Khalil Mack was already 31. For some reason, I felt like he was younger.
There was a part of me that thought he was a little older.
Well,
how do you feel about this? I want to ask you a quick question. I've talked about this before. I think it's perfect entertainment value that the NFL draft is as late as it is, and it's after free agency. I think that's perfect, because putting it at the end of April is at a good enough kind of halfway point of the offseason where, oh my gosh, people are craving for football, but then you also get that offseason break in the month of May, June, July. In an ideal world, I would want the NFL draft to be before free agency. Do you agree with that?
No, because the draft takes a lot more preparation, and you want your coaches to be involved in that.
I'm saying in an ideal world. In an ideal world for just knowing what your team needs are, and then you can go and spend your money.
No, I like it the way it is, honestly.
Okay. Like I said, it's perfect for entertainment value.
Because the NBA people complain about that, like, oh, free agency should be before the draft.
Oh, okay.
And part of it is, like, when you need some cap space savings, you can trade, guys for, draft picks, like James Bradbury. That would throw a wrench in it.
Yeah.
So moves like that.
All right, so I have 2/3 more positions that I would like the Giants to look into. And I don't really have a lot of names, but do you have any more positions?
I mean, there's other positions, like Reggie, inside linebacker would be nice to bring in one cheap guy.
That's what I'm thinking. Jalen Smith. Do you want to bring him back?
I don't know, man. I feel like we're just chasing old Jalen Smith, and I don't know if that's going to come back.
Do you think it would fit Wink?
I don't know if he's going to be good enough in coverage. No, I don't know if he would be.
Okay. Yeah, I have safety / linebacker depth. I wrote down a few safeties. Deshaun Elliott from Baltimore. He could be signed to a 1-year deal. Marcus May from the Jets.
DUI.
My dream of signing Devin McCourty is still alive.
Marcus May will be too expensive. He's a good safety.
And Malik Hooker from Dallas.
Would Hooker be really cheap? I know he's a former first-round pick, but
I wrote down guys that I thought would maybe be cheap, but they probably won't happen.
I don't know about Marcus May. I was actually talking about Marcus May on a stream last night. Brevard County's finest beat that dude in high school. Yeah. So other positions you got?
Tight end. I don't have names, but I do think we are going to sign a tight end.
What about OJ Howard?
We can do more work on him, and it can obviously be a different story, but it's just for very cheap. I mean, sure. I mean, I feel like you can have like Hayden Hurst.
He has 25 catches the last 2 years. I don't think he'll be super expensive.
No, I feel like if you say the names Hayden Hurst, OJ Howard, just insert like somewhat slow average tight end here. Feel like that will work for the Giants. But I do think they are going to sign a tight end because Caden Smith could be gone / he's kind of hurt. How many are you realistically going to draft? So I do think a tight end is going to be signed in free agency.
I would love to get Trey McBride and Greg Dulcich, and we have like our own kind of like fire and ice tight ends.
You don't want to bring up Aaron Hernandez and Gronk? You don't want to make those comparisons?
I would like to kind of have we're a culture of violence podcast, so that's just kind of too much violence.
It's a little too much, yeah. Little too much for me. I would also love. This is the last name I'll bring up. I'm still on like, man, Calais Campbell would be fun.
Yeah, I just think he's going to be too expensive, and I don't know if he's going to want to play for the New York Giants.
Yeah. He would be fun though, and I think that would be kind of fun seeing him, Leo, and Dexter Lawrence running around in that interior together for a year. It would be a 1-year deal. He's also he's 35, I think. So it would be really, really fun, and that is something that I am rooting for.
Good old ass Lee Smith, who was with the Bills for a couple of years. Might have even been with freaking Bobby Thompson. How about Evan Ingram?
Happy that he was able to put out that tweet and be like, I'm free.
Yeah, he's gone. He gone. All right, that's an episode.
Yeah.
So we'll most likely be back on Monday. If there's news about Bradbury or Blake, we'll be back on Monday. If there's not, actually, we'll most likely be back on Monday. To talk about whatever moves the Giants do to get under the cap. And then free agency week, we'll kind of play it by ear. Big signings will go that day. Other stuff will kind of either go Wednesday or Friday. And up sneezing.
Oh, here we go. Favorite part of the show. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Get to 10. Shit. 9.
All right, that's an episode. Enjoy your last weekend before all the beat reporters start tweeting out Happy New Year. So we appreciate you guys. We'll see you on Monday. Until then, let's go. Happy birthday, Justin. Tweet at Justin happy birthday. Justin. Until then, let's go Big Blue.